Domnului Patrick, despre sentimente introducere,
avem putea
it is assured that some of only those that are
Kulturse med farmer policy countries generally include
the mission to a very top, start, not program as well.
I'm sure what I day in the
Something different to being cheaper those days makes. Questions the main purposes makes.
Scarlet only one could be taken for itself and what this man takes.
Glory to Patrick, for these which we saw.
Secret right, she be allowed to consent that I can say the lies of the Lord man.
In fuel surely.
And I would take God into man.
Turn us, you don't.
I should share with her.
Country, Janti, Bede, Superior, Bede, Crown, Bede, Tiste, Santos, Paulo, with the very Santos, Lord, Shredders, we have any discussions, many very appropriate. Make up, men, marks, and culture. The dear breaker, Bede, Superior, Bede, Crown, Bede, Tiste, Santos, Paulo, with the very Santos, Lord, Shredders, rather than the way most. Amen. This direction goes from Newton Stairs, as editors to the Rossi to turn. That's the only considerable German strong people novels. New Mr. Stalin, son, David University College.
Let's do it after the check.
Sending notes, according to
Saltar to the
Dominic Samuels and American
common back to the
Dominus was
well.
writers. In medio ecclesia, Carlos Ayers, and play with him Dominus Spiritus Sapientia Intellectus, stolen glory in Bede. Alleluia, alleluia. Bonus confiteri Domini, et salve nomen tuotissime. Gloria Patri, Filii Spiritus Sancti, Sudere in principio et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. In medio ecclesia, Carlos Ayers, and in play with him Dominus Spiritus Sapientia Intellectus, stolen glory in Bede. Alleluia, alleluia. Kyrie eleison,
Kyrie eleison,
Kyrie eleison,
Christe eleison,
Christe eleison,
Christe eleison,
Kyrie eleison,
Kyrie eleison,
Kyrie eleison. Glory in Justice Deo, Sincera Paxum, Sponium Pontatis, Laudamus, Benedictus, Adoramus, Glorificamus, Gracias Sanctus Tibi, Proclamatum Gloriam Tuum, Domine Deus Rex Celestis, Deus Patrum, Domine Filii Genite, Iesus Christus, Domine Deus Sanctus Deus, Deus Patrum, Deus Begatum, Deus Deus Begatum, Spiritus Begatum Nostrum, et sed extrem Patrum, Deus Nostrum, Quonium Solus Sanctus, Solus Dominus, tu Salutatissimos, Iesus Christus, cum Sanctus Spiritus in gloria Dei Patris. Amen. Dominus Vista, et Spiritus Tuo. Oremus. Deus, qui ecclesiam tuum beati Bede, confessoris tuae admittoris, eritione clarificas, conce propitius famus tuos, eius semper illustrare sapientia et veritas adivari, per Domine nostrum Iesum Christum Filii tuum, qui tecum vivit regna, in unitatis Spiritus Sancti Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum. Amen. Oremus. Gretum tuum pastor aeternium, peccatus attende, et per beatum Ioannum martyrum tuum, aqua sum pontificem, perpetua perfectione custodi, quam totius ecclesiae prestiti esse custodem, per Domine nostrum Iesum Christum Filii tuum, qui tecum vivit et regna in unitatis Spiritus Sancti Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum. Amen. Lectio Christi Beati Pauli Apostoli ad Timotheum, carissime, justifico coram Deo et Iesu Christo, qui iuditoris est vivus et mortuos, per adventum sius et regnum eius, predicaverum insta opportune, importune, ardent, obscure, inculpa, in omni patientia doctrina. Eridem tempus, cum sanum doctrinam non sustenebum, sed ad sua desideria, co attribabit sibi magistros, orientis auribus, et a veritate quidem auditum avertit, ad fabulus altum convertentur, tu vera vigila, in omnibus labora, opus fac evangeliste, ministerium tum imple, sobre sesso, ego enim iam delibur, et tempus resolutionis mei instat, bonum totam citavi, cursum consumavi, fidem servavi, in reliquo repos est mihi, coronum justitiae, quam reddit mihi domus in illa die, justus iudex, non solum autem mihi, sed eris, qui diliquit adventum eius. Alleluia, alleluia. Amate Deum Dominus in lapide, stolum gloria indude, alleluia. Justus germinavit sicut lilium, et floreat in aeternum ante Dominum, alleluia. Dominus vos sequentia sacramentus, un Mateo. In illo tempore, dix ies discipuli suis, vos estis saltere, quod si sal effluerit, in pulse deatur, ad nunc val ultra, nisi mortatum foras, et conficetur omnibus. Vos estis mundi, non potus civitas abscondi super montem posita, neque accendit ucergum, et ponent eum sub modium, sed super candelabrum, luciat omnibus qui dosunt. Sic luciat lux vestra quorum hominibus, ut vidiat opera vestra bona, et glorificat patrum vestrum qui in caelis est. Non leti putare, quoni veni salvare letum non prophetas, non veni salvare sed clare, amen repetit votis, dona transia celer terra, iat unum aut unus apix non pretericut a legge, dona omnia fiat. Qui ergo sacram unum Dei mandatis estis minimis, et decore si homines, minimus vocabitur regnum tuorum. Qui autem federit et decorit, hic manus vocabitur regnum tuorum. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Today we celebrate the feast of the Venerable Bede, Doctor of the Church. And I remember the first time reading the name Venerable Bede, to be honest, I was confused, because I knew that in the process for canonization, people normally go through various titles. If someone's cause for canonization is open, they're called a servant of God. And then if there's a decree of heroic virtue that's been declared by Rome, then they're known as Venerable. After at least one miracle has been accepted, they go on to become blessed. And then finally, if there's another miracle after the beatification, they go on to be canonized and they're called saints. So I wasn't exactly sure why Saint Bede was called Venerable, but you have to realize that he had this title, Bede the Venerable, long before this whole formal process of canonization ever began. So the Venerable Bede is indeed a saint, and he's a great saint. So Saint Bede was a priest. He was born at Jarrow on the border of England and Scotland. At the age of 7, he was placed under the care of the holy Benedict Biscop, who was the abbot of Wearmouth, to be educated. Thereafter he became a monk, and so ordered his life, whilst he should devote himself wholly to the study of the sciences and of doctrine, he might in nothing relax the discipline of his order. There was no branch of learning in which he was not most thoroughly versed, but his chief care was the study of Holy Scriptures, that he might better understand them. He acquired a knowledge of Greek and Hebrew, When he was 30 years of age, he was ordained a priest at the command of his abbot, and immediately, on the advice of Acca, Bishop of Hexham, undertook the work of expounding the sacred books. In his interpretations, he so strictly adhered to the teaching of the Holy Fathers that he would advance nothing which was not approved by their judgment. Nay, he had the warrant of their very words. He hated sloth, and by habitually passing from reading to prayer, and in turn from prayer to reading, he so inflamed his soul that often amid his reading and teaching he was bathed in tears. Lest also his mind should be distracted by the cares of transitory things, he never would take the office of abbot when it was offered to him. The name of Bede soon became so famous for learning and piety that St. Sergius the Pope thought of calling him to Rome, where certainly he might have helped to solve the very difficult questions which had arisen concerning sacred things. He wrote many books for the bettering of the lives of the faithful and defending and extending the faith. By those he gained everywhere such a reputation that the holy martyr Bishop Boniface styled him a light of the church. Lanfranc called him the teacher of the English, and the Council of I, the admirable doctor. But as his writings were publicly read in the churches during his life, and as it was not allowable to call him already a saint, they named him the Venerable, a title which in all times after has remained peculiarly his. The power of his teaching was the greater also, in that it was attested by a holy life and the graces of religious observance. In this way, by his earnestness and example, his disciples, who were many and distinguished, were made eminent, not only in letters and in the sciences, but in personal holiness. Broken at length by age and labor, he was seized by a grievous illness. Though he suffered under it for more than 7 weeks, he ceased not from his prayers and his interpreting of the Scriptures. For at that time he was turning the Gospel of John into English for the use of the people. But when, on the eve of the Ascension, he perceived that death was coming upon him, he desired to be fortified with the last sacraments of the Church. Then after he had embraced his companions, he was laid on a piece of sackcloth on the ground. He repeated the words, "Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Ghost," and fell asleep in the Lord. His body, very sweet, as it is related, breathing sweet odor, was buried in the monastery of Jarrow, and afterward was translated to Durham with the relics of St. Cuthbert. Bede, who was already a doctor among the Benedictines and in other religious orders, and venerated in certain dioceses, was declared by Pope Leo XIII, after consulting with the Congregation of Sacred Rites, to be a doctor of the Universal Church, and the Mass and office for doctors was ordered to be recited by all. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Dominus Vobiscum. Oremus. Ius upam fred et sequituribus prendivinos multiplicavitur. Alleluia.
dando gouvernement se está com combinação de respeito a isso sempre.
Promnia Seculorum,
Amen.
Dominus Viscum,
Você decidiu
Source and Corda,
Adeus Ananda,
Gratis Dominus Domini Nostrum,
Diminutus Nas,
Peregrinus Domestic Nostratorium Stibi Sancta Vi Christus Adrian, Domini Sancta Patrum Trans Eternideus, Per Christum Domini Nostrum, qui post resurrectionem suum, omnibus discipulis suis manifestus operri, et ipsis geneticus est elevatus in caelum, ut nos divinitatis suae tribuer esse participes, et commandos archangelis, and thrones dominationibus, cum quam leges exercitus, hymnum glory to economies, sine finici tantis, sanctus sanctus sanctus, Dominus Deus Solo, plenis in cieli et terra gloria tua, sancta in excelsis, benedictus qui venit in nomine Domini, salve in excelsis.
story.
From near secula secular,
Amen.
oremus, cet stars valus moniti, et vincem formatum pronunciae, para nostra quies in celis, sacramentum tuum, et veni regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tuas, ut in cielo et terra, para nos quotidianum nostrum hodie, et dimittis nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittens debitoribus nostris, et ne nos tentationem,
Sed libera nos a malo.
from near secula secular,
Amen.
pax Domini sit semper quis,
Et spiritu tuo.
Agnus Dei, totus peccata, miserere nobis. Agnus Dei, totus peccata, miserere nobis. Agnus Dei, totus peccata, dona nobis pace. Dominus vini. Dominus vini. Dominus vini.
Confidio Deum potenti, beatum ex in Virgini, beatum Michael Arcangelo, beatum Baptiste, Sanctus Apostolus Petro et Paolo, omnibus sanctis Dei Pater, Spirit Domini, societationem Venerable opere, me culpa, maxima culpa. Filia Virgo beatum ex in Virgine, beatum Michael Arcangelo, beatum Baptiste, Sanctus Apostolus Petro et Paolo, omnibus sanctis Dei Pater, merita molto del nostro.
Desiderato verso il Steves, desiderato verso il vostro Spicciani, e non già spazio, non si che trasformazione più volte, unica Christos.
Amen.
Etianus Dei per 12 Catapult, Dominion Sudinius, Nusta Tectameum, Satan Picarabal Satan Mea, Dominion Sudinius, Nusta Tectameum, Satan Picarabal Satan Mea, Dominion Sudinius, Nusta Tectameum, Satan Picarabal Satan Mea. Fidelis service at prudence, cum consider dominus superfluum suam, but did at least in temperature and soil. Alleluia. Dominus Viscum,
Spiritus tuo.
oremus. Quid nobis Domine tuus sacrifici et salutum, beatus Bede, confessor tuus et doctor gradus, quesumus, Cator Celi, Domine nostrum et sanctium tuum, we take and viva regna in unitatis Spiritus Sancti Deus, from omnia secula seculorum.
Amen.
Oremus. Perfectionis sanctionis cum gubernum quesumus Domine, tum pels ecclesiam, hoc potentem ratio directa, et incrementum cruciatus accipia, et in religionis cruciatus persista. Per Domine nostrum et Christum filium tuum, we take and viva regna in unitatis Spiritus Sancti Deus, from omnia secula seculorum.
Amen.
Dominus Viscum,
Spiritus tuo.
itius est.
Dei gratias.
Benedicat vos Christus Deus, Pater Filius Spiritus Sanctus.
Amen.
Dominus Vobiscum.
Spiritus tuo,
In etiam sanctimentis connubiam.
ora et in nomine.
In particular verbum Bede Deus et verbum, hoc erat via Bede omnis factus, et sinus factus et factum est. And each be there, common, lux et temporis luce, et tendere erat. Quid homini sedere, cunum ertuam, si benus testimonium, but testimonium per illuminate omnis cum further. Not erat quid lux et testimonium per illuminate, et lux ver illumina, hominem vidiente, in mundo erat monstrum factus est. Evam semen neobitum propria veni, et sua non parent, hoc paras parentem, dedicated statum Felice Dei Fieri, peace be credited omniums, Credalex and Munibus, Necus, Cardix, Necus, Virix, Deo Notus sunt. Et Deo Carafactus, habitatus nobis, et vidimus gloria magnus, gloria quasi ingentium, Patre, and gratia veritatis.
Deo gratias.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning, weeping, in this valley of tears. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after the stripes thou hast shown to us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement and loving and sweet Virgin Mary, pray for us, O Holy Mother of God.
And make me worthy of the promises of Christ.
Let us pray, O God, our refuge and our strength, put down favor upon thy people, cry thee. The intercession of the glorious and miraculous Virgin Mary, Mother of God, Saint Joseph, spouse, and the blessed apostles Peter and Paul, and all the saints. Do thou mercifully and graciously prayers and pour forth for the conversion of sinners, and for the freedom and exaltation of one of the church, for the same Christ our Lord. Amen. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke whom we humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. O Sacred Heart of Jesus,
Have mercy on us.
O Sacred Heart of Jesus,
Have mercy on
O
us.
Sacred Heart of Jesus.
Have mercy on us.
Good and gracious God, we stand on the threshold of the new time for our diocese. As we cross that threshold of thankfulness, we ask you to pour out an abundance of grace on our Bishop-elect, Kevin Sweeney, so that he may faithfully assume his ministry among us, and that together with him we may work for the building up of our local church, through Christ our Lord. O Mary, always shine our path, sign of salvation and hope. We entrust ourselves to you, help the sick, with the cross to part, just pain, keeping your faith firm. You know what we need, and we are sure you will provide us as the King of Galilee. We return to joy and feasting after this time of trial. Help us, Mother of divine love, to conform to the will of the Father and do as we are told by Jesus. Taking upon himself our sufferings and carried our sorrows, lead us to the cross from the joy of the resurrection. By thy patience, O Holy Mother of God, despise our prayers and necessities, but ever deliver us from all dangers of glorious and blessed Virgin. Domine mens cum peccata nostra facis nobis.
Necas economia peccatis nostras tribuas nobis.
Adiumus Deus, salutaris noster.
Et propter gloria nobilis tui Domine libera nos.
Domine, ne minus peccatus nostrorum scorum.
Cito et cipae blessings et glorias et glorias factus.
Ora pro nobis sanctis Sebastiani.
Nunc etiam missionis Christi.
Domine exaudit in me.
Et clama meus et venia.
Dominus vobiscum.
Et in spiritu tuo.
Oremus, examinus Deus, salutaris noster, et ingent beati glorios Dei intrix Maria, Sancta Virgine, et beatus Sebastianum mater tuo, et omnibus sanctis, optum tuum abricunde tue, terroribus libera, et misericordiae tue facultatis coram. Cruciare Dominus spirationibus nostris, et animarum corporum adere laboribus, lor missione projecta, et tua semper benedictione laetevum. Da nobis quaesum Domine, et petitionis effectum, et pestilentiam mortalis nunquid siatus aderte, quid mortalem pericognoscam, et te indignante Italia flagella pudire, et te miserantes tesori, Domine nostrum Iesum Christum filium tuum, qui te convivit regnat in unitatis Spiritus Sancti Deus, omnia saeculus saeculorum. Regina Caeli, let Alleluia, Alleluia, qui